get adjusted. I think that's a good problem when we're filling out more chairs for our board meeting. So before we begin, before I call the meeting to order, I would like to have a moment of silence for a Town of Spring Lake employee who we lost due to a car crash. Ms. Asia Calloway. She served the Town of Spring Lake for about 1.5 years in the water department. She was recently transferred to the front desk as program assistant. She was pursuing a pathway to work with building and permitting and zoning and planning, and she made a damn good cheesecake. She was just a joy and a pleasure to be around, and I know the loss is greatly felt by all here and on staff, and especially by another employee, Chuck. That's his sister, and so please keep their family lifted up in prayer. And if we can, just a moment of silence for Asia. Thank you. I'll now call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. I do ask that if you have cell phones, please silence your cell phones and keep all sidebar conversations to the absolute minimum. I would also like to welcome our new Board of Commissioners. This is the first meeting with our newly installed board, Mayor Pro Tem Frederica Sutherland, Commissioner Jackie Jackson, and Commissioner Tony Burgess, welcoming them to our team. So I would like to ask Pastor Kenneth Hill to approach the podium to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Pastor Hill. You already knew I was going to call your name. Thank you. Please stand and join us if you choose to.
My Heavenly Father, Lord, we come thanking you for this day, for another year that you have blessed us. And Lord, we thank you, Heavenly Father, for this meeting on tonight. Ask God that you be with each one, Heavenly Father. And Lord, that you be in the midst of everything that's going to be discussed tonight. In the name of Jesus. Ask your blessings, Lord, upon our police and firefighters, God. In the name of Jesus. Our Mayor Pro Tem, all, Heavenly Father. Town Manager, our Governor. We just thank you, Lord, for all of these things, Heavenly Father. And Lord, I ask God that you keep us safe in our communities. In the name of Jesus. I thank you and I praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'll now entertain any additions or deletions to the agenda. Commissioner Jackson.
I move that the board go into closed sessions pursuant to North Carolina PS 143-318.11.6 to discuss personnel matters.
And that will that closed session will be agenda item number 10. Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor, I'd like to remove 9D. I can only assume then I want to add for discussion. Will you make that? You never do it. In light of 9D being added to the agenda. I want to add for discussion, so we may
regarding compensation and change it to,
Discussion about, prior agenda. Prior agenda, that's,
a discussion on the previous agenda.
prior, future agenda, prior, discussion.
Okay, gotcha. So we're going to have a discussion on how the agenda is prepared
For future
for
reference.
future reference. Okay.
Because that was a removal due to Mayor Pro Tem conversation, went to another board member, that's why I'm requesting to move that.
That's fine.
And it was stated that, the prior Mayor Pro Tem.
We'll discuss it on the agenda.
So just wait on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So we'll change agenda item D from discussion regarding board compensation. We will remove Commissioner Jackson from that and add a discussion on how the agendas are prepared.
Yes.
Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Cooper?
So moved.
Commissioner Thompson?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to approve our consent items, which are the draft minutes of the December 8th, 2025 organizational meeting, a budget amendment BA 9 for FY 2026, board liaison assignments to town committee, and our community appearances sustainability committee applications to appoint. I almost called you Commissioner Palacios, and I literally just read you. To appoint Mr. Raul Palacios, Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that we, approve the consent items, draft minute December the 8th, 2025 organization meeting, budget meeting, BA 9, fiscal year 2026, board liaison assignment, town committees, board appearance of sustainability committee application to appoint Mr. Palacio, medium housing appeal board of application to appoint Jason Daughtry. I'm saying that right.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We will now move on to public comment. So just please remember that each speaker is, do we have this? Each speaker is allotted a total of 3 minutes. Each topic must be related to the town of Spring Lake only. And please approach the podium and state your name for the record, beginning with Raul Palacios, Recovery Support Group.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Good afternoon and congratulations to those that are ready to get to work.
Good afternoon.
Wanted to let everybody know we have a recovery group here in Spring Lake, and I'm launching that next Monday on the 19th. It is going to be a weekly meeting, 6 p.m. I have flyers and I have cards available for anybody. I've also shared this information on Facebook. Anybody that wants to look it up, United Recovery Group, the information is there. We have free meals for each meeting, and this is for areas of recovery for individuals that are facing things like anger, addiction, alcoholism, pornography, gambling, overspending, overeating, PTSD, those kind of things. So we have a support group here in town, and that's the reason I want to present that to you guys. But it's great to see all of you guys, and it's great to see this lovely crowd that's here caring about the town. So that's it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. I keep wanting to say Commissioner Palacios. It's hard to break that after 40 years.
And I'm leaving early, so don't be offended.
You'll leave the flyers. Are the flyers left? Thank you. Next, we'll have Ms. Regina Thompson Dadus, Citizens Request Follow-Up.
Good evening. Happy 2026 to you all. Well, thank you. My name is Regina Thompson Dadus, 200 Scarborough Street, Spring Lake. And I'm here before you. One of the main things that's been was talked on the campaign trail and prior in the community about follow-up with the public comments. And I have for years and years thought there ought to be some kind of system or some whereby that if we make a public comment that we can get follow-up with that, whether it be via email, a phone call, or something on the website, that each person that does come before you with a comment, knowing that you're unable to answer us directly, that we feel empowered and enlightened by getting a follow-up answer to our concerns. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Next one, I'll go to Peter Parker. Topic of concerns is open.
Hello everyone, congratulations.
Thank you.
And hello to the Unity for Prosperity to the town of Spring Lake. I just like to say that we have a problem here in Spring Lake with theft, squatters. It's a big problem. There's, if you go out of town, you might come back, you might not have any copper in your house. You might, and if there's a home that is vacant, you might not have any, they're gonna live in there and they're gonna take all the copper out. There's several homes from Chapel Hill Road to McNeil Street to Odell Road that they've already gone in, where some people have passed and left and they have taken their possessions out of their homes. We would just like to have someone to do something about that, if it's all possible. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Next is Deborah Clyde, and this is to be read by the clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Deborah Clyde, greetings. I am taking this time to submit my personal concerns regarding items on the agenda for January 12th, 2026. I will be unavailable to attend the meeting in person. Please note my address in the heading. The newest members of the Board of Commissioners should be cognizant of the possibility that the LGC is still watching the government and staff of the town of Spring Lake, North Carolina. Discussions of bringing back expenses to the budget that increase expenses that are not necessary for the health and welfare of the citizens of the town should not be discussed. Regarding new business C, discussion regarding town cell phones, there is a system in place whereby the current members are paid a stipend that is a fair market value for most companies. $50 per month will allow you to get a plan with some companies that will allow you to put $35 in your pocket. The current process allows for all the legal requirements for public records and confidentiality to be met without the cost of purchasing and maintaining a separate phone. And I'm not sure if we should be electing officials that are not willing to use the technology available to save expenses. Regarding new business D, discussion regarding board compensation, no thank you. We chose to serve. The stipend at its current rate has been satisfactory for the current board members. It can be satisfactory for the newly elected board members as well. The previous board saw fit to sacrifice their health insurance. I am quite certain that the new members can take the pay at the current rate without the health insurance as well. Finally, it would not be wise for me to try to fire the manager, clerk, or finance director. My contact information is in the heading. Respectfully, Deborah Clyde.
I would like to reiterate that those comments, although read from the dais, did not come from the dais. That is public comments from Deborah Clyde. Next, we have Frank Alexander, taxes, and I can't read what that says, sorry.
Industrial development.
Got it, thank you.
Actually, for me, these two issues are related. I would like to urge the council to consider dropping the mill rate. The county recently did that, and they're down to 4.95, I think, is pretty close to what they have. And we are still up in 779, if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm urging the county, I'm urging the town to do is come close to what, the county Cumberland did, and that maybe come down to 4.5 or 4.55. And that leads me to my other subject about industrial development. I came here in 2019, addressed the town council then about developing industry in Spring Lake, and that was not a priority for them. I look at industry as an opportunity for North Carolina and Spring Lake to broaden out their tax base, to include industrial development, and this way we can bring jobs other than retail to Spring Lake, and we can become more than just a bedroom community, is basically what we have now. And I see on our agenda, we want to move more residential and move that into retail. I have no problem with that, but without any industry, there won't be any broadening of the base. It will just be an expansion of the existing base. Also, there are many, many companies in New York, in Illinois, that are looking for a place to come to. Guess what? We have land on 90 up on the highways that have great infrastructure capability to bring in middle industry, light industry, where we can put them in. I'm not talking about putting in a Willow Run. No one's talking about putting in 4,000 or 5,000 acres at the disposal of an industry. No. Talking about small development companies. They're all over the country. Some of them are in an extremely high tax area, and all we have to do is go find them. Maybe if we had a committee to talk to the local military facilities, we might be able to find what would be on their wish list. Who would they like to see in Spring Lake to make it easier for their logistics? With the Air Force Base right near here, I can't see why we can't have some kind of aircraft fabrication or aircraft development here in Spring Lake. We have a major military base here, several of them. Why can't we find some kind of middle-sized military contractor to come here and...
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming out. Next, we have Mr. Steve Watson.
I should just give him my 2:30 because this is going to take 30 seconds.
So I had not planned to talk, but your illustrious town manager asked me to say a few words. So, excuse me, Steve Watson, 210 Cecil. Like John had already told me, it's already on the agenda to discuss on item F, so we'll leave it to there. But all I can say is every resident on Cecil Avenue wants these speed bumps, okay, except for one that I cannot get a hold of. And I'm pretty sure they would want them to because they don't have children. I know they have children. But what I'm saying is, you know, I bought my own speed bumps because I was just getting tired of watching people go by at 60 miles an hour. I talked to a few the police officers. I know that's not the official from the police chief. I got that. But I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to put the speed bumps out there. He's like, good. It's not a debate whether they're a good idea or not. It's how we get them put down. And John and I'll be happy to work with you guys with this to make our community safe. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Henry Ponder, taxes.
Can I claim everybody else's time?
No, sir, you cannot. We have a very packed agenda tonight.
No, I just want their time. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Henry Ponder. I live at 1620 Mack Street in Spring Lake. Been here for 33 years. My concern tonight, one of my concerns is taxes. I got a big surprise.
Can you pull the mic up?
I got a big surprise when I got my tax statement showing that I had an increase in my taxes of over $700 here in Spring Lake compared to Cumberland County, which is only $822, which gave me an increase of, $231. And I'm trying to find out why is the taxes in Spring Lake so high compared to Cumberland County and other towns in Cumberland County. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, the 17% water increase that we had back in January. I'm understanding you're looking at another increase on the water here. Has that been approved? I know you can't answer that, but I would like some information back on that if you can. The other is the cost that we are having with the increase of taxes. What are that taxes going to? Is it going to pay for like the fire station up on Newington Highway? Is it for fire equipment that we have in the town? Because the fire station, my understanding, is not being used from what I see when I go by there. It's not utilized. And there's fire trucks in that station that's not being utilized. So I'm trying to understand where does this money go and what does it cover when we pay the taxes? We've got a refuse tax, and my refuse tax, I noticed you have on the agenda for recycling. And I had a question about recycling because I called the town on it once, and I called the recycling company because when they come to pick up my recycling every other Thursday, they pick up my trash and the recycling bin in the same truck. And I would have a concern as to do we have a contract? Do the town manage that contract? Do we pay for that contract? And if we do, my refuse taxes should be reduced since they're not giving me refuge that we should be recycling. That's about all I have.
And you still had a minute to split, it's probably taking somebody else's turn.
I'll be back next week.
We hope to see you. Yeah. Next, we'll have Ms. Betty Sanford, and the topic of concern is a check mark.
That's right.
Please express to us what your topic of concern is.
Everything happened on good all
Thank you.
I'm still on the roads. The roads, they need to be fixed. And I got some information on that, and I don't work here, but I want y'all to do something about it. And I noticed that on in our area, there's a yellow on the roads, on the speed bumps. There's road on our Rose Street, and if you don't know it, there's a bump, and you just go right over there and really mess your car up. That needs to be completed. Okay? The other thing is, do we have anything that we can help these people that are walking the street, that are homeless? Some of them are staying in the woods, in tents and stuff like that. You know, we need to look at those things. There are a lot of things that I've seen just riding along at night or early in the morning. You know, I be feeding people because they don't have anything to eat. You know, give them something to drink and stuff like that. We need something like that in the community. I noticed that, I think it's in Fayetteville, they're doing the little houses. You know, maybe we need to think about something like that. Also, we had the Martin Luther King breakfast on Friday, and I didn't see all of you. I didn't see our fire chief. I didn't see our police chief. And I think that when we are in the community, that we should work together. We should all be together, no matter what it is. You know, you want votes for different things, then you need to participate in what's going on in the community. You see? And that's so very much important. And the other thing is, why are we firing people? Why was Patricia Hickman fired? She's been working here a long time.
Discuss that today.
She's been here for a long time.
That's personnel, and you cannot discuss that.
Well, anyway, she's been here for a long time. And I miss her, you know, and some other people that have been here for a while. and, maybe we need to look into that. Okay, thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Next, we will have Ms. Renee Orozco. Renee?
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Good evening. I need to have clarification on your instruction on what the parameters are for speakers. I heard you say that it was only addressing Spring Lake, and what I came or would like to discuss would address the county as a whole as it relates to campaigning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for asking.
My name is Brene Orozco, and I am a citizen resident of Cumberland County. I'm also a practicing attorney.
No, the microphone.
Also a practicing attorney, having been practicing in Cumberland County from 2008 until 2023, at which time I took a job in Raleigh, where I'm still practicing in condemnation. I'm running for Cumberland County District Court Judge. I wanted the citizens to be aware that there is a choice as it relates to Cumberland County District Court Judge seat 5. And what I want the citizens to know is that I believe in fairness and would provide fairness, impartiality, integrity, and I believe that when a person goes into court and entrusts his or her life, matters dealing with his or her life with a stranger, that person should have the opportunity to be heard and respected. And if elected, that is what I will provide. And what I will tell everyone at any time when it comes to me as judge, it would not be about me, because I am not running because it is about me. I am running because it is about you. It is about you, the citizen, and I ask for your support. I ask for your vote. Early voting is February 12th to the 28th, and the primary is March 3rd. Thank you very much. That is all.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move on to, we do not have any presentations, so we will move on to our public hearing. I'd like to ask Mr. Patrick Hosford from Assembly and Horn, Civic Analyst for the Developer. Please approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Hosford. I'm a civil analyst with Kimley Horn. I'm here on behalf of my client, Impeccable Development. We are hoping to annex 1523 North Bragg Boulevard into the town of Spring Lake jurisdiction. Impeccable Development is planning to construct a commercial development at the intersection of Bragg Boulevard and Manchester Road. This includes that requested parcel highlighted in blue on the map here. This development will include a gas station / convenience store, which I will show you on the next slide. Right there on the bottom right, 41 parking spaces. And that will be a quick service restaurant on the left side, and potential for another quick service restaurant and or a bank. Up on the top left, that will be our stormwater management system. We will plan to have a wet pond there. And in order to move forward with permitting, we would need to annex this parcel into the town of Spring Lake jurisdiction. We do plan to rezone that parcel to planned commercial to meet the town's ordinances for our planned development. The parcel somewhere down the line in the future, we plan to recombine that parcel with the other 7 parcels shown on the annexation map that we have provided. I believe that is all I have. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the board? Mayor Fulton?
Madam Mayor. Question, talking about annex, been in several different meetings and the town manager stated about our infrastructure, and I just wanted to know, do we have the capacity to serve that water capacity for those new incoming businesses?
The question is sewer capacity. Yes, we have sewer allocation. Water we purchase, so we purchase that for the rate. We're okay on the water side.
and we do have some more, I think y'all did a emergency meeting, that Thursday before the 8th about those,
We purchase water from PWC, we don't produce it. And so anything that we purchase, we have to pay for on a gallon basis per 1,000 gallons. And so yes, the capacity is available from PWC. We just we have a long-term agreement contract that needs to be updated. That's what we're referring to in terms of purchase as well.
thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I now declare this, public hearing to be open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this, request? Do you want to speak?
I think I've got my point across.
Again, is there anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Last time, is there anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Hearing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition of this request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition of this request? Last time, did you want to speak in opposition?
I have a question. Am I allowed to ask a question, or does it have to be negative?
You can either speak in favor or against.
Okay, then I'll hold it.
Last call for speaking in favor or against this, request. I now declare this public hearing closed. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to, agenda item 9, our new business. And this is ordinance 2026-1 to extend the corporate limits of the town of Spring Lake, North Carolina, and rezoning from R10 residential to CP planned commercial. And since we just heard from Mr. Hosford, I will go ahead and ask the board if you have any other questions regarding the rezoning or the annexation. Well, I entertain a motion to approve or deny ordinance 2026-1 to extend the corporate limits of the town of Spring Lake, North Carolina, and rezoning from R10 residential to CP Plan commercial. Commissioner Cooper.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Mr. Burgess? Was that unanimous? Okay. Motion carries. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So maybe, and I thought about this, and excuse me for interrupting the meeting with this. If we could, when we take a vote, if we just throw our hand up real quick so I can see and hear everybody. Gotcha. Just that way. All right. The motion carries. Okay, so we'll move on to. Thank you very much. So, I will be providing, excuse me, once we pull up, a end of year review, and this is not the fiscal year, this is for the calendar year of 2025. So, I want to offer you a reflection that's honest about where we are right now, what we learned last year, and how we stay focused for the months ahead. So 2025 was about stabilizing the foundation by staying focused on the basics: planning, accountability, and protecting our core services. In 2025, residents felt higher costs everywhere. For us at the local level, that reality shows up in the prices of equipment, in the cost of contracts, in the cost of maintaining aging infrastructure, and in the cost of keeping skilled staff in critical roles, among other things. And residents felt this through raising water bills. In January 2025, our water and sewer rates increased, as Mr. Ponder said, 17%. And we were clear about why. The costs tied to water repairs, water purchases, and system operations have continued to rise. And that's not just a talking point. It's something that the town and families are experiencing from month to month. In 2025, we kept two commitments that matters when money is tight. First, we leaned into planning and not guessing. Our strategic plan work centered on major focus areas: safe, reliable water and sewer and stormwater systems, revitalizing town infrastructure, and a safe, vibrant, and healthy community, and economic development. We have established impact teams led by our board of commissioners, town staff, and community members to take on big problems in a very structured way. Secondly, we stay focused on accountability. We allocated $150,000 this fiscal year to complete our audits for 2022 through 2025. That's $150,000 that can't be spent on anything else. Not salaries, not equipment, not new programs. It's an obligation we can't avoid. We provided all available financial documentation to support the completion of these audits. And tonight, our manager will talk a bit more about the audit milestones and what's next for the board and the public. So I also want to talk a bit about Spring Lake property acquisitions. For those who haven't followed closely, SLPA was a nonprofit corporation formed in 2019 as an economic development vehicle. The idea was to acquire property near Fort Bragg for a potential land swap that could attract major employers. SLPA borrowed $3.5 million from BB&T to purchase approximately 160 acres on Manchester Road. The proposed land swap never received federal military approval. The loan went into default. For 5 years, SLPA did not pay property taxes or solid waste fees. The financial irregularities surrounding SLPA were part of what led to the local government commission taking control of Spring Lake's finances. With this situation, we were faced with a choice given to us by the LGC. We could walk away from the situation and let it continue to damage the town's financial standing, or we could take control and clean it up methodically. We chose to clean it up. In 2025, working with our finance director and outside legal counsel, we negotiated a settlement with Truist, the successor to BB&T, to resolve a $3.5 million debt for $450,000. The town purchased the default note for $150,000, or was it $450,000? We purchased the note for $450,000. We are pursuing foreclosure proceedings to legally transfer the property back to town's control. And we sold one of the parcels for $75,000 and used those proceeds to pay back taxes and solid waste fees. The budget amendment that recorded these transactions also recorded a forgiveness of $2.9 million in debt that the town was never going to be able to pay under the original structure. Now let me be clear about what this means. The town had to address $3.5 million of liabilities tied to property that was generating zero revenue and accumulating penalties. Through aggressive negotiations and legal action, we reduced that liability to $450,000, recovered control of approximately 160 acres of land, and are now positioned to either sell the parcels strategically or explore legitimate economic development opportunities. SLPA is being dissolved. We are unwinding this structure methodically, legally, and transparently, because the alternative was to let it keep draining resources we don't have. This is what fiscal cleanup looks like. It's not exciting, it doesn't make headlines, but turning a $3.5 million disaster into a manageable situation and potentially a productive asset is exactly the kind of work that has to happen. Now let me connect this to the budget in plain language. So that's supposed to say 62%, not 67%, so keep that in mind. Our budget isn't just a spreadsheet. It's a plan for how we keep the lights on, how we respond to emergencies, maintain roads and parks, and keep the water running. Two facts help explain why we have to stay disciplined. First, our revenue mix is limited. Property taxes make up a large share of our general fund revenue, and sales tax is a significant portion as well. Second, Jason walks in at the perfect time. Public safety dominates our general fund spending. Police, fire account for roughly 62% of our general fund expenditures. That doesn't mean other departments aren't important. It means when public safety costs rise, it affects everything. We're also operating with multiple frozen and unfunded public safety positions. It's not that we don't want to fill the positions, because we do. It's literally because we can't afford them. Every dollar is already allocated. Every line item is already committed. So here's the part that I want to say clearly for everyone listening. When the town has a budget with limited flexibility, there are only a few ways to pay for new or expanded costs. You cut something else, you raise revenues, i.e. taxes, or you delay work that still has to be done later, and done later often at a higher cost. Right now, our margin for taking on new reoccurring costs is extremely small because we're already carrying major infrastructure needs, public safety, staffing pressures, and audit-related constraints. Now, I also want to address the property tax revaluation head on, because I know it's on people's minds. You heard public comments today. On one side, a revaluation can be positive. When property values rise, it reflects growth and investment. It strengthens our overall tax base, supports long-term planning, and helps our residents build wealth through higher home values. But on the other side is what worries people, and I understand that completely. When property values rise, tax bills rise too. And that's especially hard when folks are already stretched. The reality is, Spring Lake has already has one of the highest property tax rates in Cumberland County at 74.1 cents per $100 evaluation. In a perfect world, we could offset rising property values by lowering the tax rate. But with how financially constrained we are, we don't have the flexibility to simply drop taxes and pretend the need for that money goes away. Our water systems and sewer systems are crumbling. We're still operating with frozen positions. We're still completing overdue audits. We're still trying to build reserves that protect us in emergency situations. So our responsibility is to fight for every efficiency we can find, to pursue outside funding aggressively and grow our local economy so we're not placing more burdens on the same households year after year. Our water and sewer infrastructure, our water and sewer and stormwater needs are not theoretical. Spring Lake's water and sewer infrastructure is 40 to 60 years old. 60% of our sewer system still uses outdated clay and concrete pipes. The sewer system includes 45 miles of lines, many showing serious structural damage and allowing groundwater to seep in, which means we're paying to treat that groundwater, not just sewage. The water system spans 65 miles of mains. Here's a number that should alarm every taxpayer. We can only bill for 50% of the water we purchase from Fayetteville and Harnett County. The other 50% leaks out through broken pipes before it ever reaches your home or business. In January 2025 alone, we experienced 5 water main breaks. One of those breaks lost 3.5 million gallons of water. That's water we paid for, and it ran right into the ground. our engineering firm is completing a comprehensive study with hard numbers. Sewer system rehabilitation, $45 to $50 million to address the 27 miles of line in fair to poor condition. Water replacement, $20 to $25 million for approximately 20 miles of critical mains. Total urgent infrastructure needs, $65 to $75 million. I hope you're seeing why we can't lower taxes yet. Later in 2025, the board heard that repealed bills for leaking water lines and replacing infrastructure was described at almost $80 million. Those numbers aren't meant to scare you, but they're meant to tell you the truth about the scale of the problems we plan to correctly pursue, they're meant to tell you the truth about the scale of the problem so that we can correctly pursue the right funding and don't pretend that we can solve it with small changes. Here's what keeps me focused. If we don't invest now in planning rehabilitation, we will face emergency repairs that cost 2 to 3 times as much. Every dollar we invest in proactive rehabilitation saves us $3 in emergency repairs later. On February 20th, 2025, I sent a funding request letter to our state legislative delegation seeking $85 million in state assistance for $50 million for wastewater and $25 million for infrastructure and $10 million for stormwater improvements. We're also pursuing every available grant opportunity and have secured several infrastructure grants totaling over $1.5 million. But even with the state and grant funding, infrastructure investments must be our absolute top budget priority. Another major budget pressure has been the change in how sales tax is distributed. Cumberland County switched to ad valorem sales tax distribution has caused a seriously detrimental effects on the Spring Lake budget. The distributions shifted from per capita distribution, which is based on population count, to ad valorem distribution, which is based on property values. This change was projected to result in approximately $1,761,000 less in sales tax revenue for the town of Spring Lake. To put that into perspective, $1.7 million represents about 16% of the entire general fund budget. That's money we once had to invest in our community that we no longer receive. Here's why this matters for the residents. When revenue changes outside of our control, i.e. PWC increases water rates, Cumberland County raises property taxes, the town still has the exact same responsibilities. We still have to fund police and fire. We still have to repair water lines. We still have to maintain parks. The math doesn't disappear. This loss compounds our physical constraints and makes every budget decision more difficult. But even with those pressures, 2025 included progress that residents can see and use. The playground renovation at Edward Mendoza Park was completed in late August, giving our children safe, modern play equipment after nearly a year without access. The park partnership with Fayetteville Cumberland County Parks and Rec made this roughly $100,000 investment possible without the use of town's general funds. Veterans Park received major upgrades, including new sod, a gazebo, park benches, brickwork, all managed with state grant funding and town staff, labor, and love. We're building more than just budgets. We're building community pride. And the new murals at Mendoza Park and all throughout Main Street are state symbols and include picturesque views of Spring Lake that are complements to the ongoing park renovation. These art installations aren't extra. to people who live here. They're part of revitalization. They help create a sense of place, and they make our town feel cared for while they support local artists and create a more welcoming experience in our town. Our stormwater fund invested $318,000 in maintenance, repairs, and capital outlay to address flooding and road washout issues that threaten our roads and neighborhoods. We've committed $200,000 in state grant funding towards a natural gas line expansion with Piedmont. This project matters because you can't attract industry without industrial grade utilities. Public safety and community standards is something I want to acknowledge. The closure of Plush Lounge. I know people have opinions on that, but here's where I stand. We want businesses to thrive. We want a nightlife that's positive and vibrant, but we're not going to compromise on safety. Our job is to maintain a community where families feel secure, where businesses can grow without chaos around them, and where we respond quickly when something becomes a reoccurring problem. We're going to keep doing the work with our public safety team to make sure Spring Lake stays a town where people can live, work, and enjoy themselves without fear. Throughout 2025, we hosted events that brought our community together, from the annual cleanups to First Friday on Main to our Christmas tree lighting events. These events matter because they reinforce our sense of community. We received the findings from UNC School of Government students on the potential of Lillian Black Elementary School. The building is an exceptional asset, and we are working with Cumberland County and community partners to develop the area while preserving the historical character of the building. Again, these projects matter because quality of life isn't extra. It's a part of what makes Spring Lake feel like home. But even here, we have to do it responsibly and in a way that fits our financial reality. So, as we move through the remaining months of the budget, here's the guiding principle I want us to keep in front of us. We have to protect core services, address infrastructure, stay compliant, while being honest about what we can afford. That means we should be very cautious about adding new recurring expenses or expanding benefits that aren't already planned, because every added cost has to be paid for. And right now, those payments come at the expense of something else the community depends on. This is stewardship. Good leadership sometimes means saying not yet to good ideas. It means holding the line when everyone wants to move forward. It means making unpopular decisions to protect long-term stability. So I want to take a moment and ask our manager a few questions about the audit, our AIA study, and our budget timeline. And I'll just ask you one at a time. So what is the current status of the outstanding audits? I know we've provided all financial documentation to our auditor. From your perspective, what remains and what's the next milestone the board should expect?
Negative to positive, I will say that the town of Spring Lake, working with the local government commission, spent over $1 billion and produced 0 financial statements. However, since onboarding Mr. Overton, our finance director, he has spent numerous hours combing through reports, records, almost to the point of driving me crazy with stuff. We have contracted with Terry Beckert to complete our 2022 audit after the 2021 audit was considered so messed up that it was unauditable. I'm saying that correctly. So, to date, Jimmy, Mr. Overton, our finance director, has written 4 financial statements that can be submitted for auditing, and we expect to have we have been reached out today, and they told us that our 2022 audit should be completed by mid-February, and I want to emphasize that term should be. I was here yesterday, and we will continue to pressure them, but you can't pressure them so much, because there are other audits that are required throughout the state, and we're kind of at the university of getting it done. After those are done, we've already issued, and received a bid quote for the remaining 3 audits. The board has already, approved who will be actually doing those, and we want to complete those in short order after we get to 2022. At the end of the day, it really means that you have to have an adequate and appropriate starting point to cross the finish line. If you start right, you end right. If you start wrong, you end wrong. If we cannot end wrong, we cannot afford to end wrong. That's the audit piece.
Yes. Next, asset inventory assessment. Where are we with it? What phase are we in, and when should the board expect some results?
I was prepared to talk about that under my manager's report this evening, and so I did pull, currently, we have basically 2 grants that you refer to when you hear about AIA, and MRF. AIA grant stands for, Asset Inventory Assessment. That's where you analyze and assess the system, where you come up with components, so many pipes of this, so many pipes of that, so many things are there. Currently, I have the draft report for the AIA, and forgive me, I was going to read this as part of a manager report, but I'll go ahead and put it in there now. Focusing on sewer and sewer alone. Some of you just heard me say that we have the capacity for the sewer and for this annexation. That is a completely accurate statement. We have the volume, the capacity to support this development. Our problem lies in its distribution, getting it where it needs to be. And so when you look at 40 miles of pipes and 30 miles of pipes and this and leaking and everywhere else, let me just read the project names. Prioritization remains to be seen. Sewer interceptor investigation, $250,000. These are probable opinion of costs that comes from our consulting engineers. Odell Road area sewer rehab and replacement, $5,728,725. Let's not forget that $725. Max Street, y'all forgive me if I sound a little, trying to be a little humorous on this, but this is with me 24/7, 365, night and day. How are we going to do this? Max Street area sewer rehab and replacement, $3,166,800. That's $3,166,800. Main Street area sewer rehab and replacement, $5,257,775. I'm skipping right now, but Spring Avenue area sewer rehab and replacement, $7,916,000. Deerfield sewer rehab and replacement, $7,200,000. Additional sewer line replacement throughout is $13 million, and rehabilitate lift stations and add backup generators, $828,000. The 10-year CIP total project cost. Let me back up. The 10-year CIP total project cost is ringing in at $43 million. If we had the capacity to borrow $43 million and pay for it over a 20-year term, we would have to double our water and sewer rates. Clearly, we don't have the financial capacity to do that. I get it, I understand that. And so that's just the sewer side. The water components listed as high priority improvement projects. Isolation valve project, $250,000. For the record, the board has already funded that in this year's budget. We've already taken and dedicated $250,000 of the water and sewer revenue money to take and pull those things together. An Odell Road water line replacement, $4,407,000. Max Street replacement, $3,753,000. Deerfield, $5,482,000. Water tank project, $2,400,000. Let me stop there and just speak for just 1 second about water tank project. Throughout Spring Lake, some of you may experience low pressure and low volume. That is directly related to the fact that we only have one elevated water tank. Everything that you get is coming under pressure from PWC, with the exception of what's coming from the water tank. And so the water tank is filled up during the evening hours, if you will, when the demand is low. So that when the demand is high and everybody's trying to shower and use the water, it adds pressure to the system and volume to the system. One of the key things that you need to think about is that if you notice that the fire protection is in the background, there's a color coding for hydrants. We have areas to include apartment buildings that have very, very low pressure, very, very low volume. That is a direct relation to not only the lack of a water tank, but also the lack of the size. That's what I was referring to in terms of the capacity issue with the water. In front of this development, there's plenty of size there. It's on Bragg Boulevard. When you get out into the other areas of town, those sizes of the pipes get smaller and smaller and smaller. Over time, they also corrode inside, and therefore they lack the ability to carry the volume or the capacity because it gets smaller and smaller over time, and they just can't pump it through there. And when you try to pump it through there, you take an increased pressures, right, coming from wherever, from PWC, and then you'll experience some of these issues in terms of these water leaks over town. Our staff will go fix a water leak, and it's like whack-a-mole. It'll cause another one over here, cause another one over here. These are significant problems when it comes to our water and sewer system. Some cities respond by issuing development or growth moratoriums. So now get this. We have to be very aware and cognizant of our capacities. We also have to be aware of what we can actually produce, and what we can purchase, and how we can get it around and distribute it throughout town. This is a critical issue for us, and in order to solve this, we've heard some of our public comments, we've even heard comments in regards to economic development, things of that nature. To solve this, we need to broaden our tax base, and we need to broaden our ratepayers. It's just that simple, okay? If not, you're going to be taxing the same amount of people more and more trying to accomplish what you can do. So you need to take and broaden that out in terms of the number of people who are paying into the system. That is the AIA. And so if you track that, I guess that was probably what, 79 million, something like that, and $780. Let's not forget that one. Okay, $780. Also keep in mind that the city has established 4 focus areas in terms of our strategic plan. The top priority remains investing in our water and sewer infrastructure. If you want to get to the 4th priority of economic development, none of that happens if you don't have water, if you don't have sewer. It constrains it, and it caps it, and it limits what you can do. So we've got to focus on those issues first. You heard other comments in regards to theft and blight throughout our community. We have over 160 properties identified as blight in Spring Lake. These are old, run-down properties. The owners don't care about them. They left, they long gone. And so how do we attack that? How do we address that? Because if you've got all of these properties that are in a state of disrepair, guess what they're doing to your tax statutes? They're dragging it down. And since it's dragging it down, you end up with the lowest value of properties. All right? Now give you a little latitude here. I'm not talking real math, I'm talking general math. Lowest value in properties, which is why you end up with the highest tax rate. Because you can't afford to tax it at a rate that's lower because it doesn't produce the same volume. So one of our speakers earlier was talking about lowering the tax rate at the county level. That's what's known as a revenue neutral number. And you can do that when you come through these revaluation years. You can lower your tax rate to kind of balance that out. But as the mayor talked about, we didn't do it. That's the AIA piece as it relates to both water and sewer infrastructure. Another grant that we have from DEQ is what's known as a merger regionalization feasibility study. We have until September to complete that project. Those funds are allocated through ARP, and therefore we've got to get them off the books for the state by December, so we need to finish it by September. What that does, it says that you need to partner. If you haven't heard it before, I'll say it for the record. You're looking at $79 million worth of upgrades, repairs, and liabilities, and assets. If we do not invest in a timely manner, those assets will continue to be a strain on our local structure, our infrastructure. It'll get harder and harder and more cost if we don't address those things in a timely manner. And that's where the pain is. You can't ignore it. Ignoring it is only gonna make the problem worse. And you need to be moving forward. So this merger regionalization feasibility study, it is high time for Spring Lake to think about how do you partner with others, not just grant money. Everybody wants grant money. All right, not just grant money, but how do you partner with others to provide this water and sewer system? For the record and on the record, I've said it multiple times, at the end of the day, the only thing that our residents want is clean drinking water when they open the faucet, and for it to go to protect the environment when they push it somewhere else. The problem is that comes at a cost. It's not cheap, and that's what we face, and that's the problem. So, I'm gonna pick on the mayor there for a second. She gave me the mic. So the mayor is the message of hope. I hope to be the practical reality. This is really what we're facing, and I want to continue to have that message out there. So here it is. This is what I live with 24/7, 365. It is a huge concern for me. It is a huge concern for staff because it affects and impacts everything that we do and how we plan. One final comment, Mayor, was what? Three things.
Budget timeline, walk us through the budget timeline.
Yes, the budget timeline. So, staff has already begun generating everything from our financial reports. Those are basically available through, just a record request, if you will. And so we're starting to look at where things are, what's happening, where we're at the end of the year. So, we will be moving towards our staff, department heads will get their budget documents the 1st of February. Don't hold me to February the 1st, the 1st of February. And they will start submitting their budget requests. By state statute, the town manager is the budget officer. They have a specific timeline in which they have to submit their requests. I have to evaluate those requests and figure out how to balance the budget. The only one by state statute that has to recommend a balanced budget, it rests on my shoulders as the town manager. I don't approve the budget. I have to recommend a balanced budget. And that's driven by statute law, and I'm not going to shy away from that, and I'm not going to be ashamed to say what I have to say in regards to what we do with that budget. So hopefully, we will move forward and we'll have a budget adoption by June the 1st. I think the mayor also referenced the local government commission. We are still on the unit assistance list. So we have to provide a draft budget to the LGC and the coaching staff prior to submitting it to the board. So the LGC has to still review it before we submit it to our board. Even though we have financial control back, that don't make it easy. We still got to deal with all these things. So keep in mind that's what we're trying to push for, and we're trying to get the budget adopted somewhere in the tune of around June 1st to July 1st, so we can start in the fiscal year. And we're required to produce and present a balanced budget that looks at revenues and expenses, and then having to have some type of a fund balance policy as well. So that's the budget timeline.
Thank you, sir. So, where do we go from here? As we look ahead, our priorities stay consistent with the direction established last year. Stay on track with audits and compliance, and keep the public informed on milestones. Keep moving infrastructure strategies that matches the true scale and need, and aggressively pursue funding opportunities. Maintain public safety coverage while being honest about recruitment and retention pressures and what we can sustain long term. Continue with our natural gas expansion efforts as part of long-term capacity and growth planning. Use the asset inventory assessment and feasibility work as a decision tool, so we're making choices based on facts. Keep investing in visible community assets like parks and public spaces within the budget, within what the budget can responsibly support. Now let me close by thanking our staff, our town manager, our clerk, our attorney, and every board member, both past and present, for doing the work. Our residents, I want you to hear this clearly. We are not ignoring problems. We're not gonna sugarcoat them either. We're staying focused, staying organized, staying accountable, because that's how a town gets through the tight seasons without losing its core. We're not going to budget by talking points. We're going to budget by priorities and facts. We'll stay transparent, we'll stay focused, and we'll keep doing the hard work of keeping this town moving forward. 2025 was about stabilizing the foundation by staying focused on the basics: planning, accountability, and protecting our core services. And that is all I have. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was quite a bit said, and I think the town manager said it's a huge concern for the for the town employees, but it's a huge concern for the citizens as well. Talking about the taxes, our taxes is high, and they always been high, and which is a very huge concern, because you threw out those total of $79 million for the infrastructure. And me receiving this information, as well as the citizens, is a huge concern, and it makes me wonder if I can afford to live here after paying $7,000 this year for my property taxes as well. And after living here for 46 years, paying the high taxes, the 74 on $100. So yes, we have to move forward, but we have to move forward strategically. We always have to take the citizens in concern and our demographics. We pay high salaries, thanking the employees, thanking our first responders. We pay high salaries, and it's been raises during the budget to our county employees. I've noticed that water leaks, and I don't know if the certification of the individuals who's serving those water lines have the certification needed, but it was noticed, I think those water leaks, and it said, are they fixed, are they just repaired? So that means you have to continue to send an employee out there with time for that. And I don't know the lifespan of the infrastructure in most municipalities. I don't know that wasn't there. And again, Mayor, let me thank you. And I don't know if the $85 million you sent to the state, was it approved? Did they allot Spring Lake to get the $85 million?
So, no, that was sent up, they're not in session yet, they don't go back into session.
Oh, you just have submitted it.
So we submitted it, a little while back, but it was, the holdup at first was we were right off of Helene, and the state was sending all of the funding that they had, all the budget funding was allocated to Helene recovery, and so they were saying, hold on a second, we have to take care of this emergency first. And now they're not in session, they'll come back in April, I believe.
Okay, well, we thank you for that, because I know it's always whoever serves has the opportunity to reach out to the state for this infrastructure. So thank you for that. Town manager, Lori, you stated that the audit was behind. And during the state, that was one of the concerns, Ms. Cooper, that we worked on when I was on the board, that make sure that the audit is never behind, so we can have a balanced budget. So we do know what the citizens' interest is and the monies that they're paying in their taxes, and so they'll know. But I know you threw out a big large number there. But why is the audit so far behind?
It starts simply with the fact that they weren't done.
Right, they wasn't done. I can understand that, but the state sent down over 12 employees once the current board left and the new board came on, it was 2 years that the state balanced the budget. Then they gave it back to the town. Right. But that's why we had so many individuals and they're paying them the high dollars to make sure. So we can't forget about that, what the state did to make sure that they were done. And they was here for about 2 years. So that's why I'm wondering now why they behind. But I know you said they wasn't done, right? That's why, we had them to come, the state to come down to make sure we in compliance, to make sure
They
that
paid over $1 million and they didn't do it.
Oh,
Again, that's
so
not
which-
our finance staff now.
So the state, so the town paid over $1 million for those individuals to be here from Beth Woods and from the state, and it was not done after we paid all them individuals to be here and go through all the records, and they still didn't do it. So my question to the board, who's liable for that? Because if we paid them and they still wasn't done, that's not fair to the citizens. And we was trying to, you know, get back on track.
This is something that we addressed when the
Oh, okay.
was here asking.
No, they didn't do it when we put out that money.
So we had the same concern, which is why, Mr. Overton is working double and triple time to, catch up audits that should have
Yeah, I
been
think the
done
citizens need to know
before.
about that as well, because if we paid all that money, which is our tax dollars, again, and they didn't do their job or the due diligence to make sure these audits was done when the state had already took over, then that's a big concern with our money and the funding that could have went to this $79 million for the infrastructure. But anyway, that's my concern about that, and I just didn't know and want to be caught up with the information about why the audit is behind and be in the same situation that we were in prior. Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mayor. I pointed out several times that we were paying a lot of money to the LPC, and they left without doing any audits. It wasn't until Mr. Overton buckled down and got us a starting place. We had to get ending balance in order to do an audit, and nobody was able to get that in those books. So he was able to get us an ending balance so that we could have a starting balance for 2022. But I also wanted to address the situation with the taxes. When we switched from per capita to ad valorem, we lost $1.76 million out of our budget. We didn't just spend it, we lost it. So we had to balance our budget minus that $1.76 million. And that is why police positions were frozen, fire positions were frozen, and some other positions went part-time. We lost half of our sales tax revenue, and in one fell swoop. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, and I will repeat like I always say, you can watch these meetings at home. We'd love for you to come here, but we prefer you come here. You can watch them on YouTube. You can watch them after the meetings, and we talked about this over and over and over again. We've been very transparent. It's what is our total budget?
About $10 million.
Yeah, so you 10, 11 million and you lose 1.76 million. That's a lot of cuts. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay, if there is no further discussion, we will move on, but before we do, I would like to acknowledge our Cumberland County Chair, Kirk Devier, walked in. Hey, sir. Okay, so now we'll move on to agenda item E, discussion regarding, cell phones. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This didn't have to go on the agenda because when I came to, the Christmas dinner luncheon, the clerk had given me a phone. I thought that was sufficient. Didn't ask for anything. I have not received $50. Probably other board members have. I haven't received anything. What I asked for is me not to be able to utilize my personal phone to do town business. which that's what I'm accustomed to when I served on the board. No additional monies did I ask for, or did I receive. I have not received $50. So my question is, she gave me the phone, but then she took the phone back because she said we had to put it on the agenda. That's why we're gonna go over, get this agenda situation where it should be. And that's how this came about. And jumping to conclusions, and you have a right to your opinion, but I stand firm on being transparent, honesty with integrity, and especially with your tax dollars as well as mine. Never received any monies. Still have not. But I do not want to use my personal phone. And she had already given me a phone, but she had to take it back. So she decided that I guess she asked the town manager that we need to put it on the agenda. So we're talking about it. So that's all that is. I mean, I don't know why it's so difficult when everybody's upset thinking that Miss Sullivan wants this. I don't. I don't need it. I just need to have a personal phone as well as a town issued phone that we used to have. Now I've been told that the town of Spring Lake used to have a contract for over 30 years. Our phone number was 910-436-0241. For over a year or two, you could not reach the town, the police department. I called the state, the LGC, to find out why we could not reach our police department, and they had to use an iPad or whatever the case may be to get called in. They got that straight. What I'm understanding, but I would like to know what was the reason that we had to go to a personal, I guess it's T-Mobile. I think I was talking to our, and she was stating some issues that one of the board members had decided to go with the private T-Mobile, I think it was. And I think she said the individual got fired and somebody else got involved. So I don't know about all this stuff, but the only thing I asked for is just my personal separate from the town. And it was $33 off his $50. And I did ask, well, why come I just can't go get my own phone? But she said we had to bring it to the board. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, so, any other questions or comments from the board? So, and just to, Ms. Jackson, did you have something? One moment. Just to provide a little clarification. So, we did away with cell phones, simply because, we were trying to find more ways to cut costs. And so, in order for us to cut costs, we did away with, because we have to pay for the devices, as well as recurring monthly fees. We switched to the app, which cut our costs significantly. So the $50 will come in; it's automatically included into your pay your salary, your stipend, monthly stipend. And so you can check with Mr. Overton or Mr. Roy.
A PAL that was signed on the 19th of December.
Okay, so Mr. Roy will take care of that.
And they said it was an overlook.
So, but as far as that, we did away with policy driven. We did away with all secondary cell phones for non-essential employees, and chose the $50 stipend. Again, it was all cost savings to use the app with $50 stipend versus paying full cell phone bills. So that's the reason why we.
Yeah, I was just wondering why she issued me one and then took it back and said we had to put it on there. I didn't do that. She did.
It was probably just a small mistake.
Yeah, I think it's been several. That's why mistakes, and it wasn't me. I was trying to get clarification and make sure it was a mistake with that. After she issued it, she gave it to me, and I asked her, was it a new phone and was it just wiped clean? She said it was okay. I asked her how given as well. It was a mistake over the mayor pro tem, and it's not.
All right, Ms. Jackson, excuse me, Commissioner Jackson.
I just want to chime in on what, Mayor Pro Tem was saying about the cost of the phones and everything. I imagine it was a huge cost to change the telephone. And we never really got clarity on why that was done.
So we were able to move the phone numbers that we had to the app. So the phone numbers didn't change, just we were able to port those numbers into the app, correct?
No, because the telephone number for the town has changed.
Oh, town phone, yes. It's just technology upgrades. We're going through a process of upgrading technology, and that's all.
I was maybe at a later date would love to know the cost of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're emphasizing on cost of things that we're spending on things that we can't have, that it's important. And we can't have them, and they're important for us to survive, but we're making decisions on things that is not necessary or is not really cost effective to do. So I think what we might need to do from now on is really go over some of the changes that we say need to be done, and then those that we say we can't do because of lack of money. I think we need to be very careful about the decisions we make.
Perfect, but that's why we alluded to the budget dates. So all of these things can be readdressed during the budget cycle. We can talk about cell phones and payment structures or set of things. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Madam Clerk.
Just like to clarify why the number was changed. I'd just like to clarify why the number was changed is because when we were going through all these changes from Verizon to T-Mobile, then T-Mobile back to Verizon, T-Mobile would not release us that phone number, so that is why it had to be changed.
Most likely, if they did release that number, that means there was something holding that number up.
They have a choice to let you have a number or not if they own the phone number. So if, like with your own personal cell phone.
They do the business different than they do the personal, because if the personal cell phone, if I don't owe a bill, I can change my number and I can move my phone wherever I want to. So what you're telling me is that there's a different procedure for business use when you're using the phone, because if we didn't owe any past bills or anything, then there wouldn't have been a cost to move the phone from one thing to another. And then my other thing would be, why would you move it anyway? What was the problem?
Okay, so I wanna make sure we stay on topic.
Yeah,
This
so yeah,
discussion
we're
was
talking
for
about
cell
that. That's
phones.
fine, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, is there any other discussion? Let's continue on with our discussion regarding recycling services. Commissioner Cooper?
But don't we vote on it?
No, ma'am. This was just for discussion.
Yeah.
Did I
So
skip
she
one?
cut it out, she changed it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did. I'm sorry. I skipped. Because I scratched it out. We're on agenda item E, and this is a discussion on how agendas are prepared. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
Okay, for future reference, so the citizens is not misled when they should be on the Sunshine list and receive agenda. My recommendation would be that, you don't wanna talk about the other, whatever, that you send out a draft. We received this agenda on Thursday, then on Monday, which is today, we have the meeting. Normally it's about 3 to 4 days prior, and I understand it's holidays and it's been, kind of busy. But we received the agenda mid-morning or whatever the case may be on Thursday, and then the meeting is today. It's not efficient enough time. But I would recommend that you send out a draft for us to approve before something is put on this agenda, then it's negative information and people are receiving this and feeding this, that somebody has done something wrong. I would have had the opportunity, or any other board member would have had the opportunity to say, no, this is not what I'm saying. So we have a clear understanding for future reference. So I would like to see a draft sent out prior to this being printed and put it out to the public and on the Sunshine list. And that would help us as board members, just, you know, be on one accord as well as you.
This is all addressed in our rules of procedure, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the structure is already set up. on how it should be done and
But
our rules
if
of
we need
procedure.
to vote on it, then what I'm saying, the rules and procedures, if we don't know what I'm saying, we're just gonna make it easy for it's nothing, I'm not asking for anything that's complicated, but I'm asking, so we can all be on the same accord, so we won't have to go through this, that you just send it out so we can see it prior to you printing it and sending it out.
That's what I'm saying, the way the agenda is addressed is just all laid out in the rules of procedure for the timing that it's sent out.
Okay, where is the rules and procedures? What is it?
It's on our website, but I'll send them the first thing in the
Okay, because some things you're gonna have to be caught up on.
Right.
Now you're telling me, I'm asking these questions, but I still want a draft, and if we have to vote on it, we can vote on it.
So
Send it
the
out.
way we would vote on that is we would have to, we'd have to do something with our rules of procedure, we have to go and adjust those.
Okay.
So the vote wouldn't be taken tonight, we have to bring those rules of procedures to the board and discuss that and then see how we would move forward.
That's fine.
Okay, so in the meantime, we'll have the clerk send out the rules of procedure to the entire board, and we'll discuss it at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
I just have a question about the rules and procedures. So in the rules and procedure, there is nothing stated that they have to, that the clerk will send it to the board first for the board to approve and then send out to?
No, ma'am.
There's no?
I would be the person that she would send it to approve the agenda. And we can, like, again, those are things that wanna go through the rules of procedure, put that on the agenda for discussion, we can do it that way.
Well, I definitely want to do that because my name was put on the agenda for a discussion of compensation that I didn't ask for. So I didn't ask nobody to do anything, I didn't ask to speak, but my name was put in there, and with the results of that, some of our citizens, retired board members, made a very bad statement to make us look bad. And now some of the citizens are thinking that we are asking for something when we did not.
Okay.
So that is a very important thing that we need to clear up.
Okay.
And for future references on, so it can be noted that if I don't ask for it, don't put me in it.
Okay, those are things that will be addressed when we
Thank you.
address the
I
rules of
appreciate
procedure.
it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Jackson?
Oh, no.
It's okay. Now we will move on to agenda item C, discussion regarding recycling services by GFL. Are they here today? Oh, yeah, there it is. Commissioner Cooper?
So, yes.
Oh, you don't have to come to the podium just yet.
There's been a lot of discussion about, the trash pickup, the recycling, and all of that, and so, I asked, could we have a discussion with him, and Mr. Warrior was nice enough to invite, someone here. I had also spoken to Jennifer Rackley as well. She wanted to be here, but she had somewhere else she'd, promised to go to. So, I'm sorry, she gave me your name.
Ma'am.
Ma'am? Yes, Mel, Mr. Acosta, come on up. So, we need to understand what's going on with the recycling. Is it truly recycling? Because I think many of us have seen the trash picked up by the same truck on the same day at the same time. So, just need clarification.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to clarify real quick for our board and for our neighbors. You have two types of trash cans, just to clarify that. One is your black trash can, that's where you will put your regular trash. Your green, it will be your recyclables. Or blue. Or blue.
Sir, I need you to address your presentation.
So, you have two trash cans. We have the black, which is your regular trash, and you have your green or your blue, depending on where you're at in town, that you will have the cans. The recyclables are 100% recyclables. They do not go to the landfill. We send those to our processing partner, where they will go ahead, and if it's mixed with trash, you just sort it out, and then it gets sent to whoever is the partner who's going to purchase those items.
So, quick question. You're saying that when they pick up, because it's happened to me, I was literally standing
ma'am.
outside. So when they pick them up and put them in the same bin, it's gonna be sorted once it gets to your facility.
If they combine it, that truck is going to our recycling facility, where there will be be sorted out as contaminated and pull those items out. Yes, ma'am.
That's my biggest thing. I mean, I've had several people call me, because that happened. They've been having somebody say they were driving behind the truck and watching them. But, you know, we just need clarification on that. Are we really recycling?
Yes, ma'am. And if any of our neighbors or community has any issues with that, they'll feel free to reach out to us. I'll be more than happy to provide my phone number, my cell phone number. They can call me. And,
You sure you wanna do that?
yes, ma'am. I do not have a problem. I do not have a problem because it is my job to support the community. You're paying for that service. I've been in this area today, 36 years, so this is home for me. So being able to do that for our community and being a true partner is very important.
Well, I would like for you to provide that phone number so that the town does not call our clerk and they call you directly.
That's not a problem, I will answer. 910.
910.
Oh, Lord, get the right number.
316 9263.
One more time.
910 316 9263. My first name is Mel, M-E-L. Last name Acosta, A-C-O-S-T-A. And I'm the regional manager for GFL, and I'm a local person. So if you're not calling somebody in Raleigh or somebody in South Carolina, I am 10 minutes away.
Thank you. And now, I have noticed that we haven't had as many truck breakdowns, but we were getting them 2, 3, 4 times a week.
That is correct, ma'am. I've been here for roughly a year. We have replaced roughly about 30% of the fleet. We have a new maintenance team inside, and actually the town of Spring Lake will be seeing their new truck rolling around that has a big old sticker that says we support our troops. So because we're in a military community, I'm a veteran, so I want to make sure that we take care of our home first.
Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for your service to our community. We just don't want our trash service to feel like trash. So, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I have a meeting with Mr. Roy, and he told me I only want to talk to you once a year. That's what. So that is the case. So thank you.
Commissioner Jackson.
I just want to tell you thank you as well. I like the fact that you're taking accountability, and that is very good. I like that. I just want to tell you thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
And just know that you gave us your phone number.
It's okay.
Okay.
We'll see how many calls before I get to the desk.
I'm telling you, you're coming. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me thank you as well. I have no problems with mine, and they take care, and if I do, I normally call and you come right out. So thank you as well as being transparent and leaving your phone number for future reference if we have any problems. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to agenda item F, 9F. A discussion regarding speed humps on town-owned streets. Mr. Rory? It's you, sir.
Mr. Watson has already spoken in public comments. I'm going to address some of his issues, his concerns, and the fact of some stuff. I also sent probably about 4 or 5 draft or variable policies related to what we should know as traffic calming. In my history, I have dealt with this issue in every city that I have served in some form or fashion. We spent at least 2 meeting nights debating the difference between a stop sign, a speed bump, a speed hump, a speed table, a speed ramp. The list goes on. So I simply provided the board various different versions of traffic calming policies. And in this case, we're going to narrow it down to that one single comment. We're not going to talk about a lot of difference between traffic circles and narrowing down the roads and all of these types of things. It really comes down to when, where, and how do you allow for the installation of speed bumps, speed humps, stop signs, speed tables, or whatever it may be. So with the board, I shared that it really revolves around just a couple of things. Mr. Watson is talking about a 1,300 feet long road, Cecil Avenue. I have been out there. The police department has been out there and evaluated. He agreed to that, talked a little bit about it. At the end of And I'm gonna read a couple of warnings in terms of, to recognize if there is a necessity. This doesn't mean this is the single right answer. It just means that it's part of a point of discussion. Ultimately, the board will have to decide. This is a legislative act, this is board policy. It's not the policy of the town manager, not the policy of the police department, not the policy of the staff. This is a board policy that will have to be addressed by the board. For example, a warrant for action in relation to the installation of a, we'll keep it simple, speed bump. Okay? That's those real aggressive things. There's some of them in Deerfield already. Okay? These are the things you usually go over when you're in parking lots. They're aggressive and they're terrible. My opinion.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, everything that you hear is an opinion, everything that you see is just a matter of perception. So, my opinion is that the speed bumps are the most aggressive form of vertical things that you can put in place. The warrants for that, and we're only going to be talking about residential streets in neighborhoods. So we'll name Cecil Avenue, Regina, Deerfield. Okay, not necessarily all of them, but those that are kind of more of a collector in a local street. One warrant is it means it has to have a minimum traffic volume. It's often been said if a tree falls in the forest and nobody here to listen, doesn't make sense. So if you're the only car on the road, you really don't have a traffic problem, right? But if you have upwards of 1,000 vehicles per day, how many of those are speeding, and is that a warrant for action? Other issues are 85th percentile of speed. This is the police department engineering standard where you begin to look at, y'all realize that we've got all kinds of speed limit signs all across the town of Spring Lake. Do you realize how effective they are? We still have to do citations and tickets. And so basically, you have to have a 85th percentile of speed, you gotta have a greater than the speed limit. On Cecil in particular, the speed limit is listed as 25. Since we first had this conversation, we've done some windshield surveys with Chief Jarman and identified we need at least 2 signs that say 25 miles per hour for 2 different locations. But by and large, we're in pretty good shape. The average speed limit in Spring Lake is 35, and those in these residential neighborhoods, and particularly the issue we're talking about tonight, Cecil, is listed as 25 miles per hour. So at what point is the vehicle speeding? 26 miles per hour. Or is it another one way of thinking about it? 9 you're fine, 10 you're fine. So if you live on a street with a 25 mile per hour speed limit and you're doing 35, is that indeed speeding? Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And so this is how you start thinking. You're breaking down these engineering concepts into something that's just simple to understand. You know, if you're on your front porch and you're getting 10, 15, 20, 30 cars or whatever going 35 miles and a 25, then you probably got a speeding problem from a matter of perception. That perspective. So we got to think about that and how that plays out into a public policy. For the installation of these speed humps, speed bumps, speed tables, they need to be installed based on what's called MUTCD standards. You know, I can do a pothole that makes for effective speed. You've heard others talk about that tonight. I could take a 4x4, right, that you just buy at Lowe's, crank it down into the middle of the road. Now that's more aggressive than you can imagine. But that doesn't mean it meets MUTCD standards. MUTCD stands for Manual Uniform Traffic Control Devices. All these engineers get in a room and they figure out what's best. Okay, they come up with these engineering standards. And so basically what you're trying to do is identify what is an appropriate device to put on a road. Not just simply do something, but what is an appropriate device. That's where you start getting into a conversation about the difference between a speed bump, speed hump, speed table. Most people do not like a speed bump. Some of them find these little speed pillows or these little smaller speed bumps, if you will, speed humps, to be a little bit more palatable in their community. Most people buy into speed tables, which has a larger surface area on the top, and the ramp's about the same, the larger surface area, so it's more of a smooth over Police and fire would prefer speed tables over speed bumps any day of the week. I've been in a fire truck and went over one of those speed bumps myself. Another warrant is accidents. If you realize that DOT, Bragg Boulevard, whatever it may be, usually do traffic improvements depending upon the number of accidents. We have to decide whether or not it's a problem before we can come up with a solution to do something. And so these are engineering standards from turning movements to all the different stuff you see. And then of course, what's the average speed limit, the average daily traffic, how many of them speeds. I suggest to you that the board policy needs to be broken down into 4 simple key issues that I wrote down before I came tonight. 1, the board needs to decide how many speeding cars there needs to be before there's a problem. Okay? Mr. Watson said 4. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Because it's one kid that gets in that speeding car.
Okay? And then they need to decide what warrants that. They need to say, well, what does it need to be? Does it need to be a speed bump? Definitely not a stop sign. But a speed bump, or a speed bump, or a speed table. Let me give you the history behind some of that stuff. In one of the cities that I served, the residents came together and signed a petition to install speed pillars, which is a non-aggressive or a little less aggressive speed bump or a speed bump. You take these and you spread them across the entire road and you pound them in the road. In order to do that, they had to have a petition signed by 67% of the people who lived in that subdivision. That subdivision had over 640 residents. Do that. 67% of them had to agree, so roughly over 400 had to agree. So they decided what they were going to put in based on the board policy. Then they had to pay for it themselves. The policy was once 50%, then it was amended to include 100%. If it's something that you need to do, then you need to take and pay for it, have to do that, have to not push that to the taxpayer. So that's a 100% issue that they had to face. Well, they went through all of this process and installed it. Next thing you know, somebody went and fried them up. That was probably the other 33% that didn't sign off on the yes. But there's always that one. There's always that one. That's why you need the board to decide on the type. If it's something that's temporary or something that can be fried up. In another city, they said they'd have to be concrete ramps and asphalt ramps built into the pavement. All right. The reason it's concrete is now you can pave up to it and you go to the cycle life cycle across these roads instead of these things that you just pound in the road. For the record, it's those 4 issues. Number 1, what are the warrants? Is speeding there is an issue, or accidents an issue? Number 2, what are you going to install based on NUGCD standard that needs to be defined by the board? It can't be just whatever. Okay. And then finally, how do you take and make sure the signage is in place, and how do you make sure that they meet NUGCD standards, and then who pays for it? That's the gist of any policy that you already address. Now, what you got, some of them were 10 pages and some 20 pages, and they made mountains out of molehills. I get it. Right? The question for the board is, what would you like to see? Mr. Watson is here, and I'm sorry for keep bringing it up, but we've had a lot of conversation. Actually, we had kind of an argument first, but we come.
But you know what? You offered the olive branch, and then it went well.
You can't speak from the.
I'm sorry, Mr. Watson. So at the end of the day, the action step or the request is, what say you? Would the board like for staff to draft some type of generic policy associated for board adoption consideration?
Absolutely, that is exactly what I was going to ask next. But before that question, what would be a realistic timeline to see this come back before the board? I know we've got massive things working right now, and you have a million things on your plate. So realistically, could we revisit this maybe next the February work session?
Yes, you could. I can having all these different policies, as Mr. Patterson thought, that's what the board desires.
So I will now ask the board to give consent to staff to prepare a generic policy and bring that back to us at our February work session.
I have a comment on that one.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Commissioner Jackson.
My question is, I know you stated those numbers and those facts there. Is that for residential or is that for the main highways?
Nothing occurs on the main highways. Usually they don't allow them like Odell.
No. I mean your statistics by saying how many speeders and all of that. Is that for the residential or is that for open? Because you're not going to have the amount of speeders for an open road in the neighborhood. You're not going to have it. And 9 times out of 10, that the people that are speeding in the neighborhood is probably people who live in the neighborhood. Because they're coming through there. So why would you judge those numbers based on what you're saying? That they have to have so many speeders come through, because one speeder will kill a kid, and then what?
That's a decision for the board. I won't deny, confirm. Basically, yes, this is just for residential streets, not main thoroughfares, not Bragg Boulevard, anything along that. It's just residential streets. And yes, it can come down to just one, and that's a decision the board has to make.
I recommend that, I don't mind going out and just maybe one day just sit out there and just have lunch or something and watch exactly how many people come through there. Because I don't want the neighborhood to be short, and if there's five speeders that's coming through there, and there's kids on there we say, oh, you gotta have 6 speeders, when it's 5, when it only takes 1 speeder to kill someone.
So Ms. Jackson, that's what we're gonna have it come to the work session in February, so we can discuss all of this, and we can figure out how we want to lay this out.
But point taken,
This is
I'll make sure that I draft
a
that.
little different from what we usually discuss it right here, so I apologize.
So the way we do it is when we let staff go and prepare, so they go in and figure out how or what it is we could do, and they make the recommendation,
But how are they
bring the
gonna
recommendation back to us, and then we figure out how we want to do it and send it back to staff.
But how are they gonna figure it out if they don't know what's going on?
That's what he was saying. They did a windshield survey with Chief Jarman, and they went out and they were counting. So that's what they were doing. Sir, I did see your hand. However, we do not take questions during the meeting. You would have to sign up for public comments in order to contribute.
If I go out there with Mr. Watson,
I know, he shouldn't have been, that's John's fault. John shouldn't have been talking to him.
I own that one, I'm sorry, sir.
I just had a couple of.
Sir, I know, but you can't do that from the audience. I'm sorry. If I open it up to you, I have to open it up to everybody. See, John? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. According to the document we received in the agenda, it does say discussion. Discussion is something related to unauthorized installation of the speed bumps. This discussion is prompted by recent incidents. So I am, sir, we're gonna look into this to make sure, as you stated, it only takes one vehicle to get an individual. But my question is, on this document, it says that, these speed bumps was removed.
Yes.
So my question is, they were unauthorized, what this state, they was removed, so where are they?
They're my property, I'm sorry.
Okay, if the citizen, that's what my question was, if the citizen purchased them, I just wanted to know where they were, but this document does not say where they are. So I just wanna make sure, since y'all purchased them, that you still had them. And again, it does say a discussion, so it's good to have a discussion so you know that we're serious about your concern.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the seriousness is bringing it back to that next work session, so we can actually
understand that.
hammer it
I
out.
heard it 3 times. I'm
Perfect. All right, we will now move on to Resolution 2026-1 to obtain permanent ownership and maintenance of Caleb Farms Road, Old Angus Lane, and Torrey Drive in Caleb Farms subdivision, Phase 1. Mr. Roy.
Mayor, this is just a matter of procedure. It's very typical in development. Once the roads are built to engineering standards based on the DOT, they are assessed and you get a stamp approval of them, and the city accepts those. Forgive me for not being able to tell you the actual length. I should have done better with that. But basically, we become part of our long-term maintenance plan with our Powell dollars, and we will be adding to roughly 29 miles in the city.
So when we, take on the roads, does our power bill increase as well?
Yes, that's
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yep, I have, resolution, I got it highlighted. Okay, it says you take over and the maintenance, and it states here that the employees will do the maintenance. What does the maintenance inquire?
Actually, you'll be doing the resurfacing in the long run based on the life cycle of the road. You will resurface it, fix potholes, things of that nature. For example, this year alone, I think we funded over $800,000 in paving resurfacing. And about half of that has been completed here today. So we still got another 400. And so, in the long term, this will have to be resurfacing. That's what it means.
It says lifetime, resurfacing.
We are not equipped, Mayor Pro Tem, to actually pay roads, so we have to outsource that with vendors.
Yeah, I've seen employees kind of fill them, and then in a few months they come back up, because we have some situations, people's vehicles already get destroyed. So that's why when they said a lifetime of maintenance with I was wondering about the existing roads as well, the lifetime maintenance. I see you fill them.
But you know, if you won't hold me to this specifically, okay, the last cost estimate for a 2-inch wheel pave is about $250 to $350 per mile. So in order to get that price, you need volume. And so I don't want to speak for the paving contractors, but at the end of the day, they make money by the inch and by the mile. And so when they come in and have to do small jobs, they can do the big jobs, and they have to redeploy, they have to get all their equipment moved around. And so we're really at all of these projects are bid out on an annual basis. And we did this with our civil engineering firm, actually did all the bid processes, did all the specifications. But at the end of the day, we're looking at from $250,000 to $350,000 per mile. And so that's the cost difference.
It's cost, and I understand, but you know, the roads here in the streets, and it is a big concern of our citizens. So when it says a lifetime for a new,
yes,
and you're gonna be doing that, we need to continue to look at our existing streets as well, because it is a big concern with our citizens with the streets and the potholes. So
all of our staff has been put through something that we refer to as the Strong Towns Academy. We should be very, very careful about annexing or taking ownership of future maintenance liabilities when we cannot fund those maintenance liabilities that we currently have.
yeah, that was my concern.
The point that would be made here is that we budgeted this year $800,000 for paving roads, and we only have roughly $1 million in the bank, so we only got about 2 years of paving, and we get $350, $450, something like that. $350 a year of Powell bill funds. And so anything that extends beyond $350,000 is going to require some type of general fund subsidy outside of Powell.
Thank you, you know, but the education is very important for the citizens as well, to let them know that we're certainly concerned about their concerns, and this is our community. And, but when it said a lifetime for a new, then I'm wondering about the old roads.
I love sharing.
Thank you.
Nothing that I like.
Yeah, appreciate it. Especially when it says discussion, so they'll understand as well. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
Just briefly, and Mayor Pro Tem, this is really just a formality, because the resolution does have to be passed to take legal ownership of those roads, so those will become city streets. However, we can't really not do this, because we already approved, prior boards already approved, I can remember when we did it, already approved the plats and agreed in advance that, hey, if you do what we say as far as how to do these roads and build this way, we've approved your plats, your roads. In exchange, you dedicate those to the public, which means the town of Spring Lake, and we are telling you in advance we will take ownership of them. So this is really just a formality of formally taking ownership of those roads. So I certainly understand all this.
Education is key.
Yes, but that's all. Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
If there's no further discussion from the board, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2026-1 to obtain permanent ownership and maintenance of Caleb Farm Road, Old Angus Lane and Torrey Drive in Caleb Farms subdivision, phase 1. Commissioner Cooper?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Can I see your hands for that? Oh, okay. Thank you. That works so much better. Why not do that a long time ago? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to agenda item 9H, Resolution 2026-2, providing notice pursuant to interlocal agreements and supporting full county funding and management of the Joint 911 Operations Center. Mr. Rory?
Mayor, in your agenda packet, you will see the minutes from a meeting back in October or somewhere. You'll actually see the authorization of the board to send this letter of intent to withdraw from the 911 agreement from the board. That letter is also in your agenda packet that was sent to the county manager. It has since come up on whether or not that was board action or whether it was county manager action. But I want to briefly give you some of the background associated with this. In 2009, the town of Spring Lake entered into an agreement for Cumberland County to staff up and begin a central communications, or what's typically known as a PSAP, Public Safety Answering Group. Now, some of you, myself included, will remember that you used to get the call. Now, you had a 7-digit number that you called. And that would ring into a police department. The police department would staff it, and someone that would dispatch this person and that person associated with it. So the town of Spring Lake entered into an agreement in 2009 for the Cumberland County and the Spring Lake Police Department's 911 Center to merge. So the county took over ownership and operational, and in exchange for that, the city, the town, agreed to provide them roughly $135,000 worth of funding per year to pay for the staff, right, that were basically for them to take the 2 people we had at Spring Lake and absorb them in the 911 center staff. Since then, in somewhere around 2014, they did an amendment to that original agreement, and they were trying to get that number reduced, and the county would not agree to reducing that number. They kept it at $135,000 a year. Fast forward, and you find yourself in that agreement still paying $135,000. So over at least a 10-year period. Now this is technically a 15-year period, but over a 10-year period, the town of Spring Lake residents has subsidized the operation of the 911 center to the tune of about $1.3 million. So the question becomes, how does that play out and how did you get there? All right, so the agreement was to pay those the 2 staff members to be absorbed by the county. And it also has in there a statement that says if the county ever receives any type of public safety tax, they would actually reduce that payment some equitable amount in terms of what was coming from the city. That never happened. So you got to think of the taxing structure and how this impacts the residents in Spring Lake. If you live in Spring Lake, when you live in Spring Lake, you are taxed, we heard it tonight, from the county for the provision of services. They provide and tax you an ad valorem tax to provide services. That includes funding for the schools, funding for this, and funding for that, okay? So they tax you that ad valorem tax. You are also taxed in Spring Lake, an ad valorem tax. So if you live in Spring Lake, you pay double the taxes, county taxes and Spring Lake taxes. When you live in Spring Lake, you're also taxed a 3rd time for your the capital cost that the county, Cumberland County, for the record, Jason pulled it up, this year they're budgeted to receive $676,000 of state 911 funds. The withdrawal of the agreement is about discontinuing to pay for the staff, not withdrawing from 911. It is everybody's belief that there should be a consolidated 911 public safety answering point. When you dial 911, you shouldn't have to decide whether it goes to Fort Bragg, whether it goes to Spring Lake, whether it goes to Fayetteville, whether it goes to Cumberland County. So this resolution is basically in front of you to follow up on that initial action from April, where we will withdraw from providing the subsidy based on the concept that that is double taxation. Our residents are being taxed 3 times, paying for the same services that the county has decided to pick up and operate in 911. Furthermore, they're currently having conversations about that joint PSAP with Fayetteville, about who's going to operate and manage it. So for the first time, you will hear that the belief and the thought is that that should be a fully funded, fully operational, and fully managed facility of Cumberland County. So our resolution would basically withdraw $135,000, but ask for the county to operate and fully fund and manage the 911 center separate from Fayetteville. So that's a decision they have to make. This is just making a decision. That's it in a nutshell.
Again, thank you, Mr. Roy, because this was a great catch. Not just double, but triple taxation. It's absurd. So good catch on finding this and making sure that we again are being good stewards of Spring Lake's tax dollars. So without further, we got lights. Commissioner Jackson, you were first.
Quick question, just so I can have a basic good understanding. If we don't, so we're basically taking $135,000 we've been paying the county to help put somebody in position to answer the 911 calls. Is that what you're saying?
They're already in that position. They've been in those positions for 15 years.
And then we're paying to help pay their costs for doing it.
Yes.
Okay, so if we decide not to pay them, then who pays them?
We're already paying them 3 times.
Okay, I understand that, but I'm saying if you stop all that, and I agree with you, we should be paying 3 times. But if you stop all of that, are they gonna still be funded for 911 to still be able to function here? That's what I wanna know.
911 functions here through the PSAP in Cumberland County. We do not have a 911 center here.
So it's not gonna affect if we pull out. That's what I need to know. Thanks.
So the subsidy we were paying, we're pulling back because now the county is receiving state funding.
Okay.
And the clause in the state funding says that if they're receiving state funding, then we shouldn't have to renegotiate the contract with us.
That's clarity.
Never happened. So.
Thank you. Gotcha.
This has just been autopilot.
Yeah. All right. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question, document in the agenda, the first one was sent out June 11, 2025, stating you have to have a year to be able to, stating that the Interlock 911 dispatch service that you're asking us to, since the citizen was taxed 2 to 3 times for pay. Okay, that's when it was originally sent out, I think. And then the other document you got dated for today. So one of the one that was sent out on June 11, 2025 says $140,000 Spring Lake property tax subsidized the Cumberland County emergency. And then the one for today has approximately $135,000 effective Tuesday, June 30, 2026. So which one is correct? The $135,000?
The number on the actual memorandum dated June 11th actually has a tilde in front of it, which means approximately 140,000. So we're talking about rounding numbers there. The actual is 135.
Oh, so it is 135. Okay, I just know it was different. And since it is the catch, since the citizens was taxed 2 times and then 3 times, how do they get their monies back? This was 2009 originally, and then since this was been going on for so long, and it should have been that it was double tax or 3 times tax. I see it, but I just want to know. I'm ready for it.
In short, we don't.
And again, a good catch is, well, that's $5,000 difference.
Yeah, so
But anyway, I just wanna know what the tax dollars went.
Basically, it wasn't caught, prior to Mr. Rory's arrival for a long time. I mean, going back, I don't know how long. But as far as,
2009.
yeah, as far as legally, the town signed the agreement, which is, so we have no recourse to claw that money back. Which, and then Mr. Rory and I, when he brought this to board attention, to my attention, we looked at, it is a pretty simple contract. That the year's notice, that was legally approved, the year's notice was given, here we are coming up on that, and that's why he's asking for a resolution to be passed. So go ahead.
I just wanna know the difference.
Yeah, but I wish we could get the money back.
Yeah, I do too.
And I would even do it on a contingency.
This resolution is not a request of John Moore, this resolution is a request of the Cumberland County Board.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to know the document that's printed here and in the agenda, what's the difference in the amount and where, so for future reference, if we no longer pay the monies, then at the end of the year, when we get our tax bill, that means we're not gonna be taxed this, since we've been taxed this since 2009. So, that will show on our tax bill, right? You said we're being taxed, so how is this going?
It does not show on your tax bill.
Right,
except
so
for
no
the fact that it's been built into the general fund budget. And so there's been no specificity that your taxes can pay for this until now. Now, what that means is, and I think your next item will talk a little bit about recreation as well.
Right.
What that means is even though this doesn't necessarily hold true, this represents about, each one cent on your tax rate now is about $72,000. So you could look at it this way. If I don't send it there for 911, I can use $130,000 to fill some of those unfunded vacant police positions, which would be my goal, all right, because we've got a need for it. Or you could do some type of reduction strategy. But mine would be to recommend to fill police positions, and the board would have to decide in terms of adoption of that.
So we don't know, and I think I would love to know, the tax to, and then 3 times that the citizens have been paying that you stated, and that's what we want to stop at. We still have 911. I'd like to know what that dollar amount is, if you can bring that to us.
About 1.8 cent on your tax rate.
I still don't know what it is.
72,000 times 1.8, what does that number come out to?
Yeah, so you don't need it, right?
No, I think it won't, again, y'all, everything that we do is a
I just wanna know the number.
1.8 cents is $129,600.
There you go. So 1.8 cents.
Yeah. It's just less than 2 cents on the tax rate.
Commissioner Boomer?
Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. Weren't they getting the money from on your phone bills, there's a charge for 911? Wasn't the, Cumberland County getting that money? Cause we didn't.
That's the $600,000 he was talking about.
Yeah.
From state money, it comes from your phone tax.
That's,
fee.
okay.
So you pay city tax, county tax, and telephone tax.
Okay, thank you. That was,
And that's what it pays for capital expenses.
okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, I'll now entertain a motion to approve, resolution 2026-2, providing notice pursuant to the interlocal agreement and supporting full county funding and management of the joint 911 operations center.
So moved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Cooper?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Oh, hands are up.
Motion carried. All right, we are nearing the end of our agenda. We've been out, y'all. We have work to do. We've been gone for a long time, it's a whole new year. All right, resolution 2026-3, authorizing the lease of the Community Recreation Center building to Cumberland County. Mr. Rory.
Okay, a little bit of backdrop on that one as well. The city, the town, has agreed to allow Cumberland County to tax our residents 5 cents for the definition of providing recreational services. With the reval, the revenue neutral number to generate the same amount of revenue would have been 3 cents. However, Cumberland County decided to keep the tax at 5 cents, which means they get additional funds. Part of that agreement never considered the debt service for the recreation center across the street. And so now they're taxing our residents and providing recreational services in the facility. And the facility, the town of Spring Lake owns. You guys had your meeting there and swear against everything right there in that facility. The debt service on that is $130-some thousand. Forgive me, I'm getting close to it at that point as well. Per year for the next 21 years. So the board had a meeting and a discussion with the county commissioners about taking on that debt. Right? Now, the idea of taking on that debt brings different types of costs. Right? If they take on the debt, should they not own the asset? I don't think the board was really interested in the county owning the asset, but if they're going to use it, they should be able to pay for that use, right? And they should do it because they're already taxing 5 cents to our residents. And the revaluation calculated at that point was a little bit elevated. So this discussion here has occurred between the board, our board of commissioners, and the county board of commissioners, not necessarily all of them. I don't know exactly who's teaching the county to discuss this. And the thought was that they would take on the debt, but then when I've had discussions regarding Manchester District 911, it's, well, how do you do that without conveying the asset? And the way you do that is through lease agreement. And so I do not know if the county will officially lease the building from us as laid out in this resolution. Only that that's been a point of discussion, and they asked for this board to provide them a resolution support asking for that to happen. Once again, my resolution is just something that I am conveying to the board for the board's decision. And for the record, it stands the same reason. Now think about this. The county is taxing our residents 5 cents on top of what we're taxing to provide recreation. Then we're taxing 74 cents. That we're turning around and taking 2 cents of that, equivalent to 2 cents of that, and paying for the debt. Are you tracking? You see, now all of a sudden we're talking about 7 cents, give or take, on our tax rate. So this is another one of those 1.8 something to 1.9 cents on our tax rate. That if you're following the math, this represents about 4 cents of our tax rate that we've been pushing to the county in some form of fashion. That's the purpose of the resolution.
So again, we're not giving up ownership. In layman's terms, the county is renting a rec center to provide services to us. And if somebody's renting your house, you would expect them to pay the rent for your mortgage, correct? So that's basically what's happening. The rec center is still our house, we still own the property. The county's going to pay the mortgage on it. That
we hope they are.
Hope. We hope. So just again, we are not losing our rec center. It's still owned. The land and the building is still owned by the town. Commissioner Jackson.
So if you do the resolution, when will it take effect? Does it take effect when the contract is over? When is the contract up?
So the resolution is just to give it to the county to make a request that they do this. So they asked us to, instead of having a meeting or conversation, put it in a resolution so that they can vote on it. So this will go to their board. We don't know what they're going to do with it. Yes or no? Now, if you're talking about the agreement for them managing the rec center, is that what you're talking about?
Well, you're asking us to sign a contract that is almost...
No, a resolution.
A resolution that... So what does a resolution do that the contract don't do?
It's just requesting that they take on the funding for the lease.
So if you do the resolution tonight, when does the resolution go into effect?
It doesn't go into effect. It goes to a vote for the county to make a decision on it.
Whenever we get ready to make a motion, because
Go ahead, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, just briefly, right now, they aren't paying anything to us to lease the rec center.
How did that happen?
It did. LGC was here, that's what, so right now, they're not paying anything, all right? So, what the board of commissioners for the county wants to work with us on this, is my understanding, Mr. Roy, in order for them to be able to vote on it, they wanted us to pass a resolution, so we can say, hey, we want you to pay us some lease payments, because we're paying a mortgage payment, essentially. If this is passed tonight, now we'll go to the county board of commissioners. They can then vote on it, and hopefully we can cut a deal. So, the resolution tonight doesn't mean anything is gonna be signed today, tomorrow, or even next week. We're just trying to cut a deal.
It's just giving them permission to talk about it and see if they will agree.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're not signing anything, saying nothing.
Correct.
That would have to come back later for the.
So it will come back to the board.
Yes, ma'am, the legal eagles would have to craft out this leasing agreement to make sure that met all the requirements legally, and other than that, this is just a discussion point.
And I know you said that some of the board was having conversation with some of the boards on the county commissioner. Is that what you said earlier? Is that what I heard?
Yes, ma'am.
So what board members does that? Why wasn't the whole entire board there to do that and have that talk?
I can't speak for the Cumberland County Commissioners, but the entire.
I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about us.
The entire board for Spring Lake could have done that.
Okay, so
They're
if we go to do anything, I'm
actually had a
requesting
meeting.
that the whole town board does that. Because I'm not signing off on them, I don't understand.
Commissioner Jackson, we had, the meeting that's coming up that you just said you were gonna come to with the county, we actually said, myself, Commissioner Cooper, Commissioner Lackman, we all, and it was open to the entire board. We all said we discussed this, so it wasn't an open discussion.
But that's how we just wondering, so I'm just asking questions.
We send out public notices.
And I also want to be clear that the county is not paying for anything. That 5 cents on our tax is what it's paying the salaries over there, it's keeping the services going. So that 5 cents on our tax is going towards that as well. It's not, they put tens of thousands of dollars worth of repairs. It's not enough yet, we still have a long way to go. But that's what that it's not that nothing's happened over there. They didn't just take it over and we gave them the building for free. They're still running and managing all of our services, all of the athletic teams, all of the events that happen over there, all of the grass mowing, and those things are managed too.
So with us paying the mortgage on the building and the 5% tax, that 5% tax that we're paying is going for them to manage the building,
Correct, yes. Commissioner Burgess and then Mayor Pro Tem.
You know, it don't make any sense what y'all just said about the tax.
Can you talk into your mic?
About the tax. And we're not getting anything out of that building. Nothing.
But we are.
What we get.
So far today, they have done massive repairs on the HVAC system over there. They've done overhauls with the park system, that Mendoza Park upgrade that was done through the county. All of our programs, all of the staff that's paid over there, though that's all done through the county, through that 5 cents that we're paying. And which is why it's being, the work that's being done, we don't pay for that at all. The only thing we pay over there is for the mortgage or the debt service is the only thing we pay. So now they're taking on that debt service as well, so it'll be more like they are like a renter, or an actual renter that's managing the services. Again, we own the property still, and it's not that they're not doing anything. If they weren't doing anything, then there would be nothing happening at the rec center. There would be no Mendoza Park upgrades. None of that would have happened. So services are being provided. They're taking on more. They're taking on this debt service from us because they are the tenants in that building.
They're not paying us anything?
We pay them to run our parks and rec. They are providing the service that the town could not afford to provide. At that time, we were in a terrible financial situation, and so we were unable to pay for the upkeep and maintenance and programs and repairs over there, so we had to do an agreement with the county to manage our services. And now, the county manages all municipalities in Cumberland County outside of Hope Mills. So Stedman, Eastover, Godman, Falcon Way, they all have the exact same agreement.
But we still pay the insurance.
Yes. And we will continue to pay the insurance.
But they taking care of everything over there as far as activity.
Yes, sir.
But if somebody gets hurt over there, the town does.
It's still town property, it's still our building.
I have another question. This
Commissioner Jackson?
I'm sorry, this 21-year term, why is it 21-year term? Why is it that long?
It could be anything, Commissioner Jackson. At the end of the day, that's how much we owe over there. Got 21 more years to pay.
Okay, so that's why you were asking for the 21 term, so that what they give us will take care of the mortgage. So when they pay the mortgage and the building title to the building, it will come to us.
Title stays with us. Always.
Title stays with us.
Yes. Yes, that's why we enter into building insurance and any major capital expenditures.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Mayor Pro Tem?
Madam Mayor. Well, the question, since the citizens is paying for it, it's coming out of the taxes, and it's on our tax bill. It used to be when the county did not have it, the citizen, for the rates, they could utilize that at a certain rate because we're paying for it. Now, I understand that if you try to rent it, it's substantial amount for a citizen here that's paying for it to be able to utilize it. So, if you're sending this agreement to them, which is $131,249, and we wasn't getting that for 4 years, whenever y'all turned it over to them, and you said you went to the meeting and somebody else, the other commissioners went to the meeting, I would have liked to see, and since we're sending this to them, that the citizens should get something out of it to be able to utilize it since they're paying for it and not have to go and pay those high fees to utilize it. So, I just think that since it's still ours, and I'm grateful that Mendoza Park was remodeled and the children are there, but I do think that citizens should be able to utilize it like they used to without paying the high fees. And so if somebody's gonna advocate for us with this lease, and we got some people here that can kind of understand what we're saying, I would like for our citizens to have some kind of rate reduction to be able to utilize that. Because we used to pay to utilize it even though we're still paying for it already, but now it's just, I'm hearing it's ridiculous to try to rent it. We don't even have the activities that we used to have that we look forward to because the affordability of citizens being able to use it.
And that's another topic that we've been discussing too, is to make sure that Spring Lake has representation on the Cumberland County Parks and Rec committee. That way, those things like that will be discussed with them to tell them, hey, let's make sure we can get things in order. So that it's important, a part of our representation is something that our Cumberland County Chair says he hears Commissioner Cooper in his head all the time screaming, make sure there's Spring Lake representation. And so that's been a hot topic of discussion now, is making sure that these issues are addressed, reestablishing that open line of communication with the Parks and Rec Center. That transition was a bit rough, and so reestablishing the connection between the town and the Rec Center with it being under new management, it's been a bit difficult, but we're getting there. So, and it's a constant conversation, and hopefully, I'm put you on the spot, Commissioner Jackson. Hopefully, she'll be willing to be our representation.
Of course.
On our Parks and Rec.
No problem with that.
Okay, good.
I have a question though.
Go ahead.
When is the contract up? We have a contract with them, right?
The agreement is ongoing. We could pull out of the interlocal agreement, but that would be detrimental to us right now because we just can't afford it.
Well, when is it, so does the agreement go from date to date, or is it just an open agreement whenever?
The interlocal agreement is just, it's just binding until.
Yeah, it's basically just like the 911 agreement.
I thought it says it ends here, it says 2006 ending June the 30th, 2047.
No, that's something.
that's the debt service, that's the payment for the debt service. That's not the interlocal agreement with the county Parks and Rec.
So we have a blank agreement asking them for $131,000 and
No, no, Commissioner Jackson's question is different. You're talking about just the interlocal agreement for them, not this resolution. You're talking about our agreement with them to manage our rec services.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, yes.
That goes on forever unless we pull out.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yes, it's public record, yes.
Let me understand this. So, we're asking for them to take over, this is the lease amount that we asked. So, how long, so this date on here, is this date correct? For the lease amount?
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
asking?
For the purpose of the resolution it is. Now, once you actually get into the lease agreement, you can do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or something, other term, as approved or calculated. But at the end of the day, this is a resolution to pick up the debt service payment annually for the next 21 years.
And I
Next
believe
21 years.
it's in the resolution that says that, it'll go back to, the town can establish how they're gonna work out the payment arrangements for that agreement as well. So that it'll come back to us to see how they're gonna arrange the leasing agreement.
Alright.
Any other questions or comments? Concerns? All right, now I'm entertaining a motion to approve the resolution 2026-3, authorizing the lease of the Community Recreation Center building to Cumberland County. Commissioner Thompson?
So moved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Cooper?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Any opposed? Go. Okay, I'll call for the motion again. All in favor by showing of hands.
For the lease, since we don't want to get any money already.
This is just for the resolution to go to the county.
And the resolution does not overpower the lease.
No. We have to keep our sidebar, please keep that quiet. Thank you. Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I do.
All in favor? Show of hands. Motion carries. That's right. I appreciate you guys asking questions. Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cooper, did you have one?
I think I did second.
Okay, all right. Well, we are now on to our reports, and I only have 2 this week. I will be with FAMPO tomorrow, so I will bring back any information that happens there. And we also have our mayor's meeting with myself, Fayetteville, and Hopeville to talk about regionalization issues and opportunities, and that is all I have for now. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Continue to come out and support your town. I ask a lot of questions because I like to understand. I don't like to vote on the item if I'm not understanding, and I want you all to understand as well. So again, thank you all for being here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Happy New Year to everyone. The only thing I have is that Bethel Church on 255 Bass Road, starting tomorrow at 5:30, they're starting their free tutoring. So if you have some children, lay children that you know that need extra help tutoring, be more than happy to take them there at 5:30. And again, that runs from tomorrow, the 13th of January, until April. That's all I have. Oh, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I stand corrected.
My wife's got a Tuesday out there. We're going Tuesday and Thursday. Commissioner Jackson?
Thank y'all for coming. I was a little too long. I apologize, but I gotta know what's going on, so, thank y'all for coming.
You guys do not have to apologize for doing your job. Not at all. The work of the town sometimes goes long, even if y'all don't like it. Commissioner Burgess?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming also. The meeting was a little long today, but we got it done. We thank each and every one of you that came.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes, January 19th at 9 a.m. over by Tractor Supply, there will be a cleanup. There's an old slave cemetery, and they'll be doing a cleanup for Martin Luther King. Secondly, I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He was accepted to Advanced Leadership Corps at the University of North Carolina School of Government.
I've been trying to get in there for 4 years.
I graduated from the first the best class, I'm sorry, 2020. And Mayor Ray graduated sometime before me, but his class took. And also, I will be planning, meetings for my strategic planning group, which is Safe, Vibrant, Healthy Community. And we do need some community volunteers still. And I'm also working with Brightspeed to get, have blessing boxes placed in the community. I'll see how many I can get, and also some free Wi-Fi. I'm gonna probably talk to the manager and see where that should be strategically placed. But, they wanna be a partner to our community. And, there will be another community sweep, in March, and it will be Holly Hills. So if you don't want to get a red door hanger, you want to make sure you don't have tall grass, a jump pile, and what's the other one? And abandoned vehicles, and no vehicles parked in the right of way. It's going to be a community sweep. We hope everybody gets greens in Holly Hills, but it'll be sometime in March. And that's it.
Holly Hills know that you ready for?
We will post it.
Yeah, post it.
We don't need.
So, I want to make sure that I highlight that walkthrough. I was walking through my neighborhood this morning, and there were several houses that were cited with red that are now cleaned up. So those tags were very effective, and I see it with my own eyes walking through my neighborhood. So thank you for that. It was a great idea. Mr. Rory.
Focus groups, board representation. All I need, Mayor, is for my hope is that everything that we talked about fall into one of those four categories of the strategic plan. And so with Commissioner Lackman, Stone, and Commissioner Palacio Stone, we have vacancies in terms of board representation on the water infrastructure group, and we need representation from the board on the light code enforcement side. I think you already referenced the things that fall into this focus HR, community health, recreation being one of those. That would be very helpful. I intended to talk a little bit more about that with the AIA, since I got drafted into doing that earlier. Basically, that's just the final thing. We need somebody to more representation of those focus groups, because we will have to circle back around and talk about the rate structure, talk about the further regionalization, those types of things. Those are big topics.
So while we're on the topic, I would like to ask our new commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, if he would volunteer to serve on one of those focus groups.
Looks like they put me on it already.
No, that was for, those are our committees. This is totally different. This is with our strategic plan.
Oh, I thought the focus group.
No, that's the regular committees, appearance, impact, those things. But this was for our focus group. So I have economic development. Commissioner Thompson and Commissioner Cooper are both on safe, vibrant, healthy communities. So again, we have our infrastructure and then our wastewater, stormwater focus groups. If you guys want to volunteer for one of them.
I would like to hear more information about it.
Perfect. So if you want to just go through your strategic plan, you can just send me or Mr. Rory an email, picking whichever one you want to be on. And so more than likely, two of you will work together so that everyone has a part of the focus group. So if you just want to breeze through the strategic plan and send us an email, let us know which one you choose. Thank you. Mr. Porter?
I'll just say, I'm on the flight one, so if anybody wants to be on the pool, and it is interesting because Chief Jarman and Chief Williams, they find a lot out there. Jason and Errol find a lot out there, and it's been a focus of the town manager. Anyway, so I hope y'all want to circle on there with us. Very briefly, SLPA, just wanted to touch upon that because that came up tonight. Still waiting to hear back and coordinate with the Hutchins Law Firm on where we're at. So just so the new board members understand, SLPA owned, and this is going to be very brief, I promise. SLPA owned that property So that would have a separate legal entity. So what we did in order to clean this up was buy the note from the bank. We're now going to foreclose upon that note so we can get that property. Unless someone else wants to come and outbid us, you know, that's up to them. But I don't think they can afford it, quite frankly. So trust me, that they can. But you know, anyway, maybe they will honor. And then that is it. Other than very good to see my fellow Cumberland County Department here tonight, Ms. Rose.
Sure. Thank you for allowing me, I thought, but I just need some clarification, Ms. Cooper. You said that the red door knockers, and they're gonna be in an area, but you're gonna educate the citizens so they won't be caught off guard and get ticketed or fined. Who does that? Do we have a employee here that goes around?
All the employees come together, this employee has all the employees come together, and they spread out in groups of 3, is it? They spread out, and they, hit every door in that community. So Deerfield was the first one, and, this next one is part of the focus group.
Right, you
And
said they did them. So what do you
meaning
want?
they knock on the doors, and if
Are they looking to, you said make sure the grass is cut, the vehicles is not there?
Yes,
So
all
they
of
go
them,
and looking at
yes.
the property
One
to
at a
make
time.
sure they cleaned up, right?
Right, all of that is, part of a part of code enforcement, because code enforcement is with the police department now. So,
Yeah, that's my point.
yeah, so, yeah,
So they'll let them know ahead of time, though.
right, but instead of, doing something embarrassing like putting a sign, it's more of a way to educate.
Right.
That's the key I want to emphasize, forgive me for stepping in, is that we never find them first.
Right.
The goal is to knock on the doors and what we call red-tag violations, and or green, city does. The idea is to educate and inform, and then abate the code enforcement issues before having to code enforcement.
Right, but they used to send out a notice to give them an opportunity.
That's exactly
It's
what we're
popping
doing.
up since y'all doing it different. Okay,
That's what we're
thank you.
doing.
Thank you.
All right, now we will now entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-1186 personnel. Commissioner Cooper? Mayor Pro Tem, is your last word. You are on. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor? All right, motion carries. We are now in closed session. Thank you all for coming out. Again, happy New Year. Safe travels. Stay warm because it's cold outside. Sir, can you come to? I'm just gonna come.
Go to them out of closed session.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
Second. Any discussion? Of course not. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting
Oh,
is
no
adjourned.
public action taken in closed
We
session.
said no action taken.
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
All right.
All right, let's go on. I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
First meeting.
I'm sorry.